This video article is a deeper investigation of the ideas that provide the foundation for personal achievement and joy. It is strongly anchored in the philosophy of self-determination and positive thinking. This highlights a fundamental fact that is acknowledged in a variety of ways throughout many cultures and ideologies, which is that our ideas and beliefs affect the reality that we experience. Although at first glance this idea seems to be straightforward, it really involves a complex interaction of psychological, emotional, and practical aspects that together constitute the human experience. Decision-making and clarity are powerful tools. The first point that we must make, which is that we must decide what it is that we want and define it precisely, is the basic point. The significance of doing things with purpose in our life is highlighted by this. In the absence of a distinct objective or aspiration, our efforts and attention tend to disperse, which ultimately leads in diluted outcomes or even stagnation. This echoes the age-old knowledge that can be found in a variety of cultures, which emphasizes the significance of purpose and concentration. By articulating our wants in a way that is crystal clear, we are able to put in action the processes and energies that are necessary to bring them into existence. Confidence in one's capabilities. One of the most powerful affirmations of self-efficacy is the declaration that we must have faith in our capacity to accomplish our objectives. Since the sheer existence of a desire signals that it is attainable, this conviction is not only a kind of wishful thinking. Rather, it is a psychological concept that serves as the impetus for motivation and perseverance. Individuals are more inclined to take constant action and persist through problems when they have the realization that they automatically possess the power to accomplish the objectives that they have set for themselves. The cost of achieving one's goals. In addition, the commentary focuses on a facet of success that is sometimes glossed over the price that success requires. This price involves the ability to think in a disciplined manner, to be able to control one's emotions, and to have the determination to conquer obstacles. This idea, which states that we become what we think about, serves as a reminder of the enormous power that our brains have to mold the course of our lives. Considering that our ideas are the seeds from which our external circumstances sprout, this highlights the need of maintaining watch over our thoughts. Having a positive attitude is important. The story sheds emphasis on the transforming power of positive thought, which has been championed by individuals such as Norman Vincent Peale. There is data from a variety of domains, including psychology and neuroscience, that supports the premise that good ideas lead to positive results. This theory is not simply motivational rhetoric, it is backed via research. The ability to think positively helps to cultivate resiliency, creativity, and problem-solving skills, all of which are essential for overcoming the challenges that we face on the way to achieving our objectives. Circumstances that are created. The proactive aspect of successful persons is highlighted by the reference to George Bernard Shaw's viewpoint, which stresses the importance of creating circumstances rather than being defined by them. It is a call to agency and responsibility, arguing that even if we may not be able to control every element of our lives, this does not mean that we do not have considerable ability to impact our path and consequences by the activities and attitudes that we undertake. A mental image of victory. The ideas that have been discussed up to this point are put into practice by placing a focus on visualizing and outlining objectives in great detail. Aspirations that originate in the domain of idea may be brought into the realm of reality with the help of this blueprint. The fact that this method is used in a broad variety of fields, including performance, psychology, manifesting practices, and strategic planning, demonstrates the usefulness and universal application of this strategy.
If you can tell me what you want, I can tell you how to get it. The problem with the great majority of individuals is not with their ability to achieve their goals in life, but rather with the failure to understand two factors vital to successful living. The first is to make the decision as to what it is we want enough to give it most of our attention until it's been achieved, and to clearly define it. And the second is to fully understand that we have the ability to achieve this goal or we wouldn't want it in the first place. The next vital rule to successful living is to understand we can achieve nothing without paying the price. Now, what is that price? Well, it's many things. First, it's understanding emotionally as well as intellectually that we literally become what we think about, that we must control our thoughts if we're to control our lives. It's understanding fully that as ye sow, so shall ye reap.
My old friend Dr. Norman Vincent Peale put it this way: this is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery outside of my relationship to God. The great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact, he went on to say, which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success. In 3 words, believe and succeed. George Bernard Shaw said, people are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, make them. Well, that's pretty apparent, isn't it? And every person who discovered this for a while believed that he was the first one to work it out. We become what we think about. Now, it stands to reason that a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about, and we become what we think about. Conversely, the man who has no goal, who doesn't know where he's going, and whose thoughts must therefore be thoughts of confusion and anxiety and fear and worry, becomes what he thinks about. His life becomes one of frustration and fear and anxiety and worry. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing.
You are at this moment the sum total of your thoughts to this point, for there is nothing else you can be. And 5 years from now, you can be and have anything you set your entire mind and heart upon.
So decide now. What is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you ever make in your entire life. What is it you want? Do you want to be an outstanding salesman? A better worker at your particular job? Do you want to go places in your company? In your community? Do you want to get rich? All you've got to do is plant that seed in your mind, care for it, work steadily toward your goal, and it will become a reality. It not only will, there's no way that it cannot.
Secondly, it's cutting away all the fetters from the mind and permitting it to soar as it was divinely designed to do. It's the realization that your limitations are self-imposed, and that the opportunities for you today are enormous beyond belief. It's rising above narrow-minded pettiness and prejudice. Thirdly, to use all your courage to force yourself to think positively on your own problem, to set a definite and clearly defined goal for yourself, to let your marvelous mind think about your goal from all possible angles, to let your imagination speculate freely upon many different possible solutions, to refuse to believe there are any circumstances sufficiently strong to defeat you in the accomplishment of your purpose, to act promptly and decisively when your course is clear, and to keep constantly aware of the fact that you are, at this moment, standing in the middle of your own acre of diamond.
Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet seem to get everything? They seem to have the magic touch. You've heard them say that about someone. Everything he touches turns to gold. And have you ever noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail? Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have goals, some don't. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. It's that simple. Think of a ship leaving a harbor, and think of it with the complete voyage mapped out and planned. The captain and crew know exactly where it's going and how long it'll take. It has a definite goal. Now, 9,999 times out of 10,000, it will get to where it started out to get. Now let's take another ship, just like the first, only let's not put a crew on it or a captain at the helm. Let's give it no aiming point, no goal, no destination. We just start the engines and let it go. I think you'll agree with me that if it gets out of the harbor at all, it will either sink or wind up on some deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and no guidance, and it's the same with a human being.
I want you to write on a card what it is you want more than anything else. It may be more money. Perhaps you'd like to double your income or make a specific amount of money. It may be a beautiful home. It may be success at your job. It may be a particular position in life. It could be a more harmonious family. Each of us wants something. Write down on your card specifically what it is that you want. Make sure it's a single goal and clearly defined. You needn't show it to anyone, but carry it with you so that you can look at it several times a day. Think about it in a cheerful, relaxed, positive way each morning when you get up, and immediately you have something to work for, something to get out of bed for, something to live for. As you look at it, remember that you must become what you think about, and since you're thinking about your goal, you realize that soon it will be yours. In fact, it's yours really the moment you write it down and begin to think about it. Don't concern yourself too much with how you're going to achieve your goal. Leave that completely to a power greater than yourself. All you have to do is know where you're going. The answers will come to you of their own accord.
I can't emphasize too much the importance of describing your goal in detail. If it's a beautiful new home, get the actual plans, or at least an elevation drawing of the home. If it's a certain amount of money, write down the specific amount for the coming year to the penny, and then work your plan. Whatever your goal may be, write it down in detail. Then you're like this ship. You're on course, and you reach more successful ports in a few years than most men do in a lifetime.
Now, where most people are making a mistake is they set their goals down. They say, well, what is your goals? Write them down. So the fellow sits down, he says, I want a car, I want a house, I want some money, and this is the way they set their goals. Now, folks, if we had a whole group of seeds, let's take apple seeds. We had 50 different types of apple seeds. And we just grabbed any one of them out and said, we want apples. We throw them in the ground, they come up, and they said, gee, those are green apples. I wanted red ones. Well, that's because you just picked any type of an apple seed. You didn't describe it. So we must learn to define. Now, you've heard of the word of visualizing, that you have to learn to visualize things. And when you visualize something, this is the thing you're going to bring in your life if the visualization is strong enough. And we're always visualizing things in our life, but our tendency is to visualize negative situations. Now, the reason for visualizing negative situations is because, folks, let's not kid ourselves, we are living in a negative world. If I ask somebody, I says, by the way, Joe, how do you feel today? He says, good, fine. The next day I ask him how he feels, and he says, I feel terrible. I have had a pain in my stomach, and I have ache all over, and he goes into you'd think he was an actor. He can describe a negative situation in his body so wonderful, but when he feels good, he just says, fine. How come people, when they feel fine, they don't say, I feel great, I feel wonderful, I feel so great that I expect all the wonderful things in the world to happen to me today? In other words, have a little feeling when you talk about the good things in life. I say, how are you doing in business? The guy says, fine. And if he has a bad day, I said, how you doing? He says, lousy. Oh, let me tell you, we're just having a terrible time. Did you read that article the other day? It took me several hours to find it, but it was on the back page down at the bottom in fine print, but I located it. People like negative things. They seem to vibrate with them for some strange reason. They don't want things that are negative in their life, but they keep insisting on talking about them. And they can paint the most beautiful picture of loss and lack. We are creators. Nothing comes to us. Everything comes from us. And everything that you have in your life is exactly what you designed. The dress you're wearing, the coat you're wearing, the neighbors you got, the friends you got, is that everything we attract is what we are. And what I am speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say. And what you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say. You see, everything that you have is the things that you've created. So be careful about what you create. Be careful. It's hard to visualize a thing. We have to learn to describe things. Now, I'm going to go through a description of a thing because this is very important in your lives, folks. Please listen and please try to remember what I'm saying. You can change your life that quick into everything wonderful. You can have everything wonderful happening to you if you use these basic, simple little things. Now, I'm going to describe a thing that, an automobile. I'll talk about an automobile because an automobile is easy to describe, and people can comprehend it very quickly and very easily. I'm going to talk about a Cadillac. And every time I talk about a Cadillac, folks, I'm not describing the Cadillac per se. I'm talking about a Cadillac idea. And I'm not talking about something that you say, well, I got to have money to have a Cadillac. I'm not talking about money. It is not necessary that you have money to have a Cadillac. There's many wonderful things can happen to you where these things can come to you from very unusual sources. Many wonderful things can happen to you. Too many people stop their dreams because they start thinking about the thing that is not necessary in order to have it. I say to somebody, do you want a new Cadillac? The guy says, I want one, but I can't afford it. I says, it has nothing to do with affording it this minute. I just want to know what you really want. Most people are afraid to define what they want in life. They're afraid to define it. They're afraid it's going to cost them something. Now, so I says, Pete, what do you want? He says, a Cadillac. I says, fine, Pete. Now, this is where people make their mistakes. I says, I got a nice 1936 beat-up model downstairs. I'll give it to you. He says, I don't want a 36 model Cadillac. I says, you just told me you wanted a Cadillac. He says, I want a 62 Cadillac. I says, why didn't you tell me, Pete? Why didn't you tell me? This is the way people set their dreams. They just say, I want a Cadillac. You want an orange one or a green one? He says, I want a red one. Now he's starting to define. And you know, it's very difficult to define up here in your mind. The best thing to do is to get a piece of paper, folks, and start defining on a piece of paper. A 1962 Cadillac. A red Cadillac 1962 convertible with a white top. And when he gets all through, the perfect visualization is up here now. Because he has described it. When you write it, you start seeing it. So he gets the picture up here by writing it down here. This is how you define things that you want in this world. So he gets it all defined. When he gets that Cadillac completely defined in his mind, he's got the seed. He hasn't planted it yet. He's got it picked out. Now, the important thing is that you must release that seed. You must release it, and it must be planted. And the finest thing in the world to plant that seed is to take on this piece of paper now and just write across that, thank you. That's the law of acceptance. And you would be amazed how many people in this world can't accept their good. You would be shocked. Thank you means that I have accepted it. I'm going to have it. I know it's mine. When we plant that seed in the subconscious mind, the thing starts working towards you. You'll be driving down the street, you'll be in a restaurant talking to a friend, and all of a sudden this red Cadillac convertible with a white top, and the whole thing will hit you right again, or you'll see your dream. It'll keep coming back. The reason this thing keeps coming back to you, this is the only way that the universal law has of talking to you. There's no voice. That's all in visualization. And when this dream comes up, what it really means is it is on its way to you. It is on its way to you. It's right around the corner. And so you do not, at that time, say how, when, or where. All you do is say, thank you, because you know it's on its way. You can have anything in this world you want to have, and you can be anything in this world you want to be by using this simple process. Children, our children, folks, how many times have you heard people say to their children, the child says, I'm going to be president of the United States. And the father and mother would say to him, you, with your studies, you'll never make it, Junior. Now, this is a wonderful seed to plant in this fertile little brain, the subconscious, this fertile little mind. You are telling him he can't. He isn't smart enough. The child says, I'm going to be a rich man when I grow up. I'm going to have everything in this world. He says, you're going to have to learn a lot, Junior. One thing, you don't know how to handle money. Now, anytime any children come to you or to the parents, you should tell your children this. They say, Junior, you're the type of child that can have anything in this world. You have the ability and the intelligence to go anywhere, do anything, and have everything in this world. It is yours because you're that type of a child. Start planting these seeds in our children. This country today is teaching too many children, what to think instead of how to think. And what are we? We are only children a little older than the other children. And we are growing up children. And we have to, at some time in life, we have to start deciding and pinpointing things that we want in this world. And I am not just talking about the tangible objects. I'm talking about the intangible things. What would you like to be? What type of person would you like to be? Would you like to have more love in your life? Well, then you must learn to give love. You'll never have anything without giving. Everything I give, I receive back, multiplied. If I have a lot of hate in my life, I'm giving hate out. And so if I don't want hate coming in my life, I should not be giving it out. If I don't want people to talk about me, I shouldn't be talking about people. Everything that I send out, I get back with feeling. Every thought I think, I don't get because I did not plant my seed properly. I did not have a true visualization. And I'm saying this, that you analyze this yourself and ask yourself this basic question. Do you know what you want in life? If I was to ask you right now, what do you really want? What are the tangible objects that you want in this world? Things that you can feel and touch and smell. What are these things that you want in life? And you know, folks, the amazing thing, I doubt if there's 2% of the people in this room could tell me and describe it and just like that come right out and say it. You don't know exactly what you want. And this is why, folks, that you know what happens? We get a lot of things that's left over from the people who know what they want. That's why we do not get the things. We haven't defined it. We do not know exactly what we want. So what is it that you want? Define it. Write it down. Pinpoint every drop of that dream that you have in your mind. Define it so clearly on that piece of paper that you can completely see it in your mind. Expect wonderful things. Be a creator of ideas. Let's not be moons, the reflector of ideas. Let's be suns. Let's be the creator of the light. Let's be the creator of the ideas. Because we all have the capacity. You know, that the guardian of the gate is the conscious mind. This guardian can at any time let any thought through to the subconscious mind at once. Any thought at any time. We are thinking human beings. We have the capacity to think of anything in this world we can think of. But we do not have the capacity to think of nothing. Now you try to imagine what nothing is. Try to get a thought of that. There is absolutely no way. So that means that we are thinking human beings and there's thoughts flying through our mind continuously. A steady flow of thoughts all the time coming through the mind. Now where do these thoughts come from? All of a sudden you say, gee, that just must have come out of the clear blue sky. It must have come out of clear blue to me. You didn't think of it. In fact, it might be something you didn't even know about. And the thought comes through and you say, well, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? That couldn't happen to me. And so you throw that thought aside. And if it's a good thought, why not accept it and stop it and analyze it and accept it and let it happen to you? And these thoughts are coming through our mind all the time. But a negative thought comes through and it stops there for a minute and say, boy, that's a good negative thought. I'll have to stop and analyze that one. And you start thinking about it and pretty soon you get a frown on your face and you think about it a little more and you create a beautiful picture. And all of a sudden you put that down in the subconscious. You say, boy, there's another bad thing's going to happen to me. Have you ever caught yourself thinking about something you didn't want to think about and you've been thinking about it for 5 minutes? And all of a sudden you say, what am I thinking about that nasty thing for? We do it all the time, folks. But we can stop now anytime we want. And we can change that thought and put in a good thought. If you don't want to think about oranges, change the thought and think about bananas if you want. If you don't want to think about lack, change the thought and think about prosperity. If you don't want to think about hate, think about love. If you don't want to think about anything that is negative, put a positive idea in your head. And you know what happens? And you can analyze it and you can just dream about it and everything else and get all these seeds planted properly and have all these wonderful things happen. Get 20 wonderful seeds planted. Get them written down, defined. Thank you. Plant them into the subconscious mind. Put it away. And every time it comes back into the mind and the law is saying it's on its way, you just say thank you. Don't analyze it because it's already planted. Just say thank you and go on. and have 10, 15, 20, 30 of these wonderful seeds planted, and folks, you'll walk on air, and you'll have miracles happen in your life. And don't be afraid to do this. If your wife isn't in harmony with the wonderful things that you want to happen to you, or if the husband isn't in harmony with you, or if the children aren't, or your friends aren't, you don't have to show them. Plant your seeds privately then, and put them away privately, and plant them deep. And all these wonderful things will happen, and say, you know, the one thing about that person, I don't know what happened to him, but man, oh man, everything they touch turns to gold. And that's the reason. That's the reason, folks. The planting properly of your seeds.